Welcome into the EMA Online Video Fast Break. Mason Voth, Alec Bussey from EMA Online here with you from somewhere in Gallagher-Iba Arena. This place is a maze. I get lost in it every time I come here. It happened a few times today. In my defense, that's because a door was closed. I didn't know if I should go in or not because it said emergency exit only. Still didn't stop me from getting some grief from Alec about getting us lost and not knowing where to go. The one thing we did find today was KState knows how to win a road basketball game again. First time that they win a road game since the game at Baylor. That was early in January. And the Wildcats had a little bit of a stretch there where it looked like things were getting away from them. KState even got the lead to touch 7 or 8 points in the second half, and I was like with 11-something to go. And I looked at you and I said, I think this game's over. It was not over. The Wildcats went on a little bit of a burst, and the tipping point of the game ends up coming with 10:49 to go in the second half. Jerome Tang had been displeased with the officials all day long. K-State cuts the lead to 4 on a David Gasson layup, and Jerome Tang gave us pretty good insight as to what happened there. You were looking for the right adjective to describe how he was clapping at the officials. He used the word demonstrative. He didn't say anything. He was just clapping at the ref, and the ref teed him up for it. And the point was clear because K-State only committed 4 more fouls the rest of the half. Oklahoma State committed 6. The Wildcats were able to get to the line at critical times, and some of the ones that sent them to the line I thought were pretty iffy at best. So it did its job, and I think – I'll let you jump in here in a second, but I think what that shows to me is that Jerome Tang and this team, they each have each other's back to where Tang knew he had a team that was tough enough to come back from that. And even though they just cut it to 4, they could handle letting the lead get to 6 if it needed to. It wasn't going to stunt what they had going on. So I thought that was a pretty important moment. I liked that he did it because he wanted it all day. It was going to be important. And do it when the lead gets to a manageable point as opposed to trying to do it when you're down 8 or something. He knew not to do that. He saw a window, took the opportunity. So I was always a fan of the Tang technical. Even if it didn't work out, I was going to defend it to my grave, and I'm glad that it worked out for the Cats today.
Yeah, it certainly worked out for Kansas State. I don't know if it was necessarily a good decision. I don't think he did it at a very good time, but his team was able to respond after getting 2 stops, back-to-back possessions defensively, and then converting on 2 layups to get a lead down to 4. I don't think that's necessarily a time where you want to give the other team the momentum that you've regained. So I thought that was a questionable time to get a T, but I also don't think he anticipated getting the T based off of his explanation that he said after the game. Ultimately, I think Jerome Tang did make some impressive moves today as a coach. His decision to insert Ish Massoud late in the shot clock where K-State wasn't going to have much of an opportunity to run an offensive set to get a shot paid off big time because he hits a 3 with about 9 or 10 minutes left in the game, and that was huge. And then, obviously, Ish has his weaknesses on the defensive side, but he's not in there for very long because, fortunately for Kansas State, they're able to get a dead ball, and then you get their sub that you want again. So I thought that Jerome Tang had a pretty good day as a coach, aside from the technical foul, even if we disagree on that. It ended up working in K-State's favor. But I also think he did a really good job managing some of the substitution patterns he had to make in the second half because there were certainly some foul troubles. Naquan Tomlin only plays 3 minutes in the second half. Cam Carter gets tagged with 3 fouls. Is forced to play on the bench for a majority of the game in the second half, but is pretty effective in his minutes overall, I thought, today for back-to-back games for Carter. But to be able to manage some of the foul trouble that they had today, I think was impressive, and give a lot of credit to Jerome Tang for pressing some of the right buttons, whether it was to get a guy an open shot or inserting the right player at the right time for whatever reason. I thought he had a pretty good day aside from the technical foul.
A few other things I like from Jerome Tang today, and this one kind of ties into the technical foul, but I think it's really important to see that a guy like Jerome Tang that I would describe as probably the most happy-go-lucky coach in the Big 12, and like he comes across – I don't think that a lot of them are bad guys by any means, but he seems like the nicest of dudes, and just everything he does is out of love. Well, I think it's important to see that K-State, you can have that coach, but he's able to dig deep, and he can get that fire at times. We have seen him not be shy and go out and be afraid of getting a technical foul this year. He will do it if he needs to do it. I know you don't like it. I know some will not like it, but I think that's a good element to see. And then another thing that I thought was massive for K-State today ends up being the fact that Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson continued this stretch that they're on where they're starting to look more like the Keontae and Marquise that we saw in the first couple of games of Big 12 play, where it's more efficient offensively. The turnovers were up again today for Noel, but after the first I think it was like after the first 9 minutes of the second half, he didn't commit another turnover in the game until the one with 12 seconds left. It was inconsequential. It was a little dicey there. It didn't mean anything. So Noel did a really good job there. He came out shooting immediately. That was a good thing. And then Keontae Johnson made some pretty big moves today as well. So I thought what K-State was able to do was impressive, sneak out of this place with a win and get back on track, because now if you go take care of Oklahoma at home, you're in a really good spot to where we don't think they can slip below a 3 seed with one more win. And certainly if they win out in the regular season, I think they lock themselves into a 2 seed. So K-State's in a really good spot right now.
They are, and they got some help today around the country with Arizona losing on a buzzer beater to Arizona State. Des Cambridge hits a real shot. Second time this year he's hit a half-court shot. Watch the Pac-12. It's a great league. It's a lot of fun, right, Mason? But inside joke there. But then also Texas losing to Baylor, I think also helps K-State in terms of a team in front of them losing. But also now it maybe gets Baylor back on the 2 line. So maybe that kind of cancels itself out. But they do get some help there. But the best thing Kansas State can do at this point is just keep winning. If you keep winning, you're going to better set yourself up, whether that's location in the NCAA tournament or seed-wise and location or just overall seed-wise. So all those things considered, K-State's obviously win today was huge for them, and now they get an opportunity to come home against an Oklahoma team that they're certainly going to be wanting revenge against, and they need to get that on Wednesday because that's not a loss, so you can take that be a Q2 loss, I would imagine.
Yep, just win. That's what you got to do. And with the Texas loss, the Horns only have a 1-game lead over K-State now. And with everything the way it's playing out, as long as KU were to beat Texas on the last day of the regular season, K-State would have the tiebreaker over Texas. If K-State can get the 2 seed, it does a couple of things for you. Where, one, it's going to guarantee that you wouldn't see KU until the championship game of the Big 12 tournament. We've discussed that's a big deal. Nobody wants to see KU until you have to see them. But also, I think another big factor in this is if you can avoid playing whoever that 6 seed is in the Big 12 tournament in the first round, you're much better off if you have to face the 7 or the 10. Anybody can beat you in this league, but you would like to avoid playing a team like it could be TCU or Iowa State, much more dangerous than what it could end up being like West Virginia and Texas Tech or this same Oklahoma State team. That K-State has proved now, even though O-State is physical, they have a way to beat them, and Oklahoma State didn't defend K-State very well today. They gave them some looks, and I think now with 2 games under your belt, K-State would feel pretty confident about being able to find even more ways to score throughout the game. So I thought altogether a good performance. We saw everybody step up and do great things on Tuesday against Baylor. Today, I think it took a while, but when it came time to close things out, I think everybody made their plays down the stretch, whether it was Cam Carter with some free throws, Desi Sills, before the end of the half, also on the baseline out of bounds where he got it dumped in from Johnson. Ish Massoud hit a key 3. A lot of guys found a way to contribute in the end, and it was enough to get K-State over the hump, 73-68.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a big win. And to be able to continue to get some ancillary guys to step up and make big shots for this team is huge. And back-to-back games with Cam Carter plays well. Desi Sills has a really good game today, aside from the smoke layup at the end. Like, they're starting to get production from players that they maybe weren't getting earlier in the season, and that's what's led to this team having a little bit more success here as they've won 3 in a row again.
The Cats win. Alec and I hope to win as we stop at the casino on our way back to Kansas.